Charge complete.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Forbidden Land podcast. This is ForbiddenFM. This is a special episode. We are going to be talking about the Georgia runoff election that will have results coming in about 10 minutes. This has been a pretty... I almost suited up. This has been a pretty intense race. And it's going to be... interesting to see how it shapes out for the Republicans mostly. Will the Republican voters choose crazy, or will they choose slightly less crazy in the form of a healthcare executive? This should be a fun, good time. It's going to be more chill than a normal podcast episode. I did try to dual stream to Twitch, and I guess I am pumping out too much bandwidth. And so Twitch couldn't handle it. Right now the main statewide races that are the most consequential are the Republican runoff for the U.S. Senate primary, which is between Mike Collins and Derek Dooley. Derek Dooley being this random football coach. I know that might sound blasphemous to a lot of UGA fans, but he's just a football coach. He doesn't have any political experience, it seems, but Brian Kemp has endorsed him, and he got enough of the vote over Buddy Carter to squeeze out the second place for the runoff. So very odd, very weird that this guy is in the runner-up. Mike Collins is obviously like a crazy MAGA Marjorie Taylor Greene aligned, like old school Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's like a crazy MAGA freak. Um, this guy is unhinged. Believes in a lot of election denial. Seems to have some kind of uh, like I don't know. I showed the video last week. He's just a very bad candidate. So here's my prediction. I think both Derek Dooley and Mike Collins. I think Mike Collins gives John Ossoff a better chance of winning. I'll be real. I think it's been shown that in Georgia, the crazy MAGA Republican doesn't do very well against a moderate Democrat, which is unfortunate because I want a progressive Democrat to run in Georgia, and they think at the Democratic Party that, well, play it safe, run the moderate. And John Ossoff has some progressive tendencies. He's not necessarily like a bad senator or bad candidate. He's just like a run-of-the-mill, if the Democratic Party says jump, he says how high type of deal. So this runoff is going to be interesting. In the gubernatorial runoff, the Republicans are down to Burt Jones and Rick Jackson. Rick Jackson being a outsider, quote unquote, healthcare executive, and Burt Jones being the current lieutenant governor, who is kind of like Mike Collins. He's a crazy MAGA conservative, leaned heavily into election denial, which is very odd considering the Kemp government actively fought against election conspiracies and whatnot. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how that race goes. I think if Burt Jones becomes the candidate, Lance Bottoms will have a higher chance of winning. I don't know if she can pull off a gubernatorial win. I think John Ossoff is far more popular with Georgians. I think we'll see another Herschel Walker losing, but Brian Kemp winning type of situation where John Ossoff might win the Senate seat again, but Keisha Lance Bottoms comes just short of winning the governor race. So I think if Burt Jones wins this primary, he will have a far better, he'll have actually a far worse chance of winning than if someone like Rick Jackson won, who seems to be coming in as a popular outsider type of figure, someone who's not connected to the rest of politics, and somebody who will be like just a normal, everyday Republican. Like, that's how they're going to view him. So I think the Democrats' best bet is if Burt Jones wins this primary runoff. The last runoff is actually a double. Josh McLaurin and Nabila Parks. I don't know how you say her name. Sorry. They're currently neck and neck in the primary for the runoff. And I personally, I like Josh McLaurin, but like is a strong word. But I would prefer if Josh McLaurin was the candidate. I'll just say it like that. I'd prefer if he was the candidate. And then on the Republican side, John F. Kennedy and Greg Dolezal. Now, I've been getting some crazy text messages about this guy, about Greg Dolezal. And let me see if I can find a good one. So, like, I get these pro Greg Dolezal texts, right? There's only one Trump Republican for lieutenant governor. Greg Dolezal. Why is my mic trying to escape me? Greg Dolezal stood with President Trump through thick and thin. Now he's fighting to end property taxes, ban Sharia law, and stop the backroom deals and lobbyists from deciding policy in Georgia. Dolezal for lieutenant governor, the conservative who gets it done. He's going to ban Sharia law. Folks, do we have widespread Sharia law in this country? I don't know about that. There was like a crazy one I got. Where is it? Where is it? They're like throwing hands with each other and calling each other like liberals. There's a liberal hiding in the Republican primary for lieutenant governor. Don't be fooled by the special interest money and lucky name. Choose the real Republican, Greg Dolezal, for lieutenant governor. Interesting. There's a... Oh, wait. I already read that one. Driver's licenses for illegals? That's the John Fraud Kennedy way. Kennedy voted to give illegals the right to drive in Georgia, even fought in court to stop deportation. As lieutenant governor, Kennedy's Democrat habits will have no limit. That's pretty interesting. No fucking way. I have got to upload this so y'all can see this. The graphic they included, bro. Look at this graphic. Oh my god. What the fuck? I'm gonna upload both. The video that I got from his campaign and the graphic that they used for John F. Kennedy. Oh my god. So here's the liberal John F. Kennedy wants illegals to drive in the state of Georgia. Here's this one. Liberal John F. Kennedy. Jose Smith, bro. What the hell is this? Bro, they got Jose Smith on here. And look, they gave him the Real ID star. I think people that argue this type of shit. So look at all the people he put in the background. People who argue this type of shit don't know anything about immigration. Because this star wouldn't be on there. That star's literally so they know that it's a real driver's license, that you're here. I don't know. This is just a bullshit ad in general. But let's pull up his campaign ad. I haven't watched it. So let's take a look. Let's see what they're cooking up at Greg Dolezal campaign headquarters. See what they've got. Liberal lawyer. Whoa. Okay. Let's watch this sweet piece of fine art.
Liberal lawyer John Kennedy fought to keep criminal illegals from being deported. Kennedy sided with Obama in court to keep illegals in Georgia and even voted to give them driver's licenses.
Ooh. He sided with President Obama like 10 years ago.
America.
Oh, sorry. Wait. 11 years ago. That said 2015 on the source. I didn't even see that. 11 years ago, he voted with Obama, or he fought with Obama.
The first patriot, Greg Dolezal. Greg Dolezal proudly stands with President Trump to deport every illegal immigrant and keep Georgia safe.
Where's Greg? Greg, thank you very much, Greg. We appreciate it.
Wouldn't it be really funny if that was not Greg Dolezal being spoken to in that clip and it was just some guy named Greg? That's what this guy kind of reminds me of. I know you can't really see his face because the mass sent text message video sends at like 1p.
Greg.
But this dude just looks like he got his shit kicked in school. He looks like the president doesn't actually know who this guy is. Like, this could be like a wax sculpture of the president for all we know.
Dolezal for lieutenant governor.
Dude. John F. Kennedy, liberal lawyer, wants to put illegal immigrants in your bathtub. Oh, Jesus. Scoot my chair over a little bit. All right, so the polls are closed. See how many votes they've counted in the last 2 seconds. Let's see. Okay. See if I can get some election results going. Holy crap. Why is NBC News revving my computer up like a fucking sports car? Good God. How much JavaScript did y'all pack into this one page? Oh my God. Okay. Folks, it's too early to call. It's too early to call. Mike Collins, 0. Derek Dooley, 0 votes. No one voted, people. I'm sure we'll be getting some results in a minute. Let's check in on some of our peeps. Ooh.
Not good. There's no way to sugarcoat this. They're up at the fastest rate since the Biden administration. So again, not good news here.
It's pretty hard to take from a billionaire president when he says he loves inflation, brought on the American people because of a war that he decided to pursue. And, you know, that one's going.
All right, let's see if I can get some CNN live coverage of this election. I don't know how much longer I can wear the suit jacket, by the way. God. I'm going to have to go get like a drink in a minute. I don't know how much longer I'm going to wear the suit jacket during this. Okay. I ain't getting shit on a live feed. The Kornacki cam. Oh.
Collins was doing better. Didn't have the Trump endorsement then, but Collins was doing better with that sort of pro-Trump election day vote. So I would expect that to be a dynamic tonight, meaning that if Dooley's going to have any chance, and Dooley is the underdog
Count some
coming into
votes,
this,
people.
if he's going to have any chance, he needs to really be posting good numbers early because it's probably going to be a little less favorable for him late. Let me remind you what it looked like here. Back in May when we had the preliminary, this is how we got to tonight. Collins finished first, and he was pretty well clear of Dooley.
That's so
that was
dumb calling it the preliminary. Dog, call it the primary. The runoff law in this state is one of the worst laws we have. Not the worst, but it's one of them.
Carter's maroon, that's his congressional district, the first congressional district of
I just
Georgia,
don't get it.
Based in Savannah along the Atlantic coast and inland from there. Carter won that by a huge margin, meaning that's sort of the biggest single source of up for grabs voters here.
I think most of his voters will go to Mike Collins.
Going for Dooley? Are they staying home? One thing I could tell you is if you look through these counties here, just give you a sense of what it looked like, you know, Carter won it big, Collins was a clear second, and Dooley tended to be, I'm just giving you a random sample here, but look at that. That Dooley number was barely out of single digits. Collins, meanwhile, was a pretty healthy second place in some of these. So Collins, you expect, would have the leg up there. Again, that's where the most up for grabs voters are. Let me go back over here to the main screen because, again, I don't want to miss any results. But that's one thing we're going to be looking at tonight here as these results come in. This is Buddy Carter, roughly. This is Buddy Carter's first congressional district. The other dynamic there in the preliminary, maybe you caught it on that map I just showed, Dooley's support was really concentrated right there in the Atlanta metro area. And that gets to, that's the sort of part of Georgia here in Republican politics where you get sort of the most, I don't know how to describe them, I would call them sort of Trump independent Republican voters. It's not that they're against Trump necessarily.
Sure. I think a lot of those voters in the coastal region that voted for Buddy are going to vote for Mike Collins. Buddy Carter and Mike Collins are the most similar ideologically. They both are like extreme MAGA, election deniers, all that. They will bounce on it, trip over it, eat it for Donald Trump. And I think that's what they're going to do in this one. I think they're going to vote primarily for Mike Collins. I mean, Derek Dooley's a nobody, man. The fact that he even got 40% of the primary vote like that, or not 40, 30% of the primary vote like that, that's fucking crazy. Who the hell is this guy, you know? Like, who is this guy? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why did this guy enter the race? Why does he get so many voters? And why is he endorsed by Brian Kemp? I mean, I know why. If we go to this article that I actually found, to no one's surprise, there are fairly new, probably not that new, reporting showing that Brian Kemp sent $27 million in school security contracts to a company run by Daniel Dooley. According to the report, Dooley later contributed $100,000 to Kemp's PAC, which has since spent heavily backing GOP Senate candidate Derek Dooley. Shocker? Corruption? Who's shocked? I'm not. Oh, we got some results.
Right into this, and we'll go to the governor's race as soon as we finish up right here. But I want to just sort of set the scene here. So we've got, again, look at that, almost 20,000 votes reported out there all at once. So you're looking at early vote. You're looking at a county that's absolute, not just must win for Dooley. This must be a landslide for Dooley. And I'm going to just tell you how the night's going to work here in terms of we've set benchmarks.
I'm going to go get my water.
And I want to explain the benchmark once, and hopefully it'll start to make sense. In the primary, if you just took the votes that were cast for Dooley in the first round and just took the votes that were cast for Collins, the share there, right, if you just took their votes, right, in Fulton
Look at the
County,
suit, fellas.
which just lit up here, in the primary, okay, I just want to make sure I get this. I just want to make sure I get this right here. In the primary, Dooley got 58%, okay, of the Fulton County vote. In the two-way Dooley versus Collins vote, it was 58 to 42 in Fulton County, okay? Dooley needs to win Fulton County by more than that. Why? Because the statewide was 57 to 43 Collins in the two-way vote. It's a long way of saying that if you're Collins, okay, you have about 7 points of pad. Okay, you could drop 7 points or so in that two-way vote and still be okay in this, right? So Collins got 42 in Fulton County in the preliminary. We say he's got about 7 points of pad, so he could probably fall to about 35% in Fulton County. He'd be pushing his luck, but he could probably fall to 35. He's at 37.5 in this first update. So that's in the realm of what Dooley wants to see. However, remember what we said. We expect as that later vote comes in, holy cow, look what just happened. We suspect as that later vote comes in, it gets less Dooley friendly. So
it just got closer, folks. Too good to be true for Derek Dooley.
He might have needed better than that. Let's see what else we got here. Working our way right through here. Forsyth County. Oh my gosh, we got a ton of vote here out of Forsyth County. We said again, this is a place where I don't know why I pulled that up. This is a place where Dooley needs to be winning. Big. Again, the number here, Collins' share in the preliminary was. Sorry about this. Collins' share in the preliminary was 53, right? Again, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to give you Collins' share from the preliminary, and he can fall back by 7 points and still probably be okay. If it gets more than 7, he starts to get in trouble. 53, that's just a little bit less than a 7-point drop for him. Okay, so again, that's making this closer for Dooley. Douglas County here, okay, Collins in the preliminary. His two-way share of the vote here was 46. He's at 43. Okay,
man, what's
so
the overall vote
so
far?
Right there. These are some pretty big counties
That's
we're looking at. Floyd County. This is the biggest one in northwest Georgia. It's going to be your sort of biggest population. We only have 123 votes there, so we won't worry about that. Go down to deep south Georgia here. Okay, where Valdosta is. Take a look here at Lowndes County. That's 29 votes.
Yeah, show us the full.
Okay, this is interesting because where are we now? Now we are in that Buddy Carter congressional
district.
Yeah, show us the
whole vote tally. I want to know.
District, and we got a real ton of vote right there. The two-way, now this is interesting because the two-way share of the vote, remember this is where you got a lot of up for grabs voters.
There we go.
It was 66%.
Damn,
was
bro.
Collins' share of the Collins versus
8%
Dooley
in,
vote.
Derek
That's
Dooley's
double
up that
digits. That's a
much.
little bit more than a 10-point drop for Collins. That's good news for Dooley if he can hold it in a place like that. Again, we talk about that difference between the early vote, the same day vote. I'm just going to look at these because these are all in that Buddy Carter congressional district we were talking about. Glynn County on the coast here. The two-way share for Collins here was 67, so he's right at it already. That's not a good number for Dooley. That is a good number for Collins. Camden County, okay, Brunswick, Georgia, 75% was the two-way share for Collins. He had 72. These two are very encouraging numbers for Collins. Take a look at next door. Start to work our way inland. Brantley County, it was 80, now down to 71. So just give you a sense of it. Now, what I want to do, and take a look here. We're also in. This is in Mike Collins' congressional district too. I just wanted to see Oconee County. This is a pretty big one. This is near where Athens University of Georgia is. That's Clark County, but this is a big one, and this is in Collins' congressional district. And the Collins share here
what's going on with the,
was 51, and he's dropped to 40.
Senate race.
So it's right on that number. So we zoom out. We got
Gubernatorial.
8% of the vote in, and Dooley is leading narrowly right now. Let's flip over. We'll explore this deeper. Let's flip over and take a look at that governor's primary because we haven't introduced that one yet, and I want to. Okay. Wow. We got a big wow. Wow. So here's Rick Jackson and Burt Jones, and Jackson is leading this early by 25 points with the same pool of votes that we just saw from Dooley. So let's take a look here and break this down. And again, in the preliminary, Jones finished ahead of Jackson. Let me just zoom out. Jones finished ahead of Jackson in the preliminary. It was 38-33 statewide, Jones over Jackson. 38-33. Now, what did that work out to in the two-way?
I think the more liberal
if it was
districts.
Just Jones and Jackson, just the share of the vote.
We'll go
if you
for
just took
Jackson.
their votes and compared it, it was 54-46 for Jones, the lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor
Dude, this looks
endorsed by
worse for
Trump
him.
and endorsed at the last minute by
The
Governor
Mike
Brian
Collins,
Kemp.
like
Trump and
Derek
Kemp
Dooley
on the
split
same side here. Jackson,
pretty
the
close
self-funded
right now.
businessman, poured a ton into
Only
this race,
8% in.
running as sort of a populist conservative. But again,
But the
two-way
fact
vote
that
between them
right now,
in the primary, Jones got 54%.
the difference
So what does he have? He
between
has about
Jackson and
4
Jones is so
points of
big
pad
compared to
as we work our
Collins
way
and
through
Dooley.
these counties, okay?
Holy
So,
crap,
okay,
dude.
So take a look at Fulton County, right? Say he's
don't
got about 4
fuck with
points
the,
of pad. What was his number
the
here
establishment
in the preliminary?
Republicans. Oh my
Jones's number in
God.
Fulton County in the preliminary was
Don't
47.
fuck with them.
14 points off in the first batch of votes. Wow, if you're Jackson, that is super encouraging. Forsyth County,
Damn.
Forsyth and Cherokee, you're getting north of Atlanta here. These are big Republican vote centers here. Forsyth County, and this was a good county for Jackson in the primary. But again, we're working off Jones's number here just as a point of reference. So what was Jones's number here was 45 in the preliminary. Remember, we think he's got about 4 points of pad, give or take double digits off that. These are big counties here. Floyd County, okay? Look at this. Jackson by 23 points. What was the number here in the preliminary? The two-way share for Jones was 55.
Let's check out a race that he's not going to talk about.
Was the two-way share for Jones down to 38. So, wow. I mean, just zooming out here, 12% in right now. These numbers, if you're Jackson, these are spectacular.
15.9% of the vote in right now.
Down here. This is a big one.
Josh
County,
McLaurin
where Savannah is. Okay,
steamrolling ahead
the Jones
Parks.
share here, the two-way was 57.
On the Republican side, Greg Dolezal
well below
is
the little sort of
10,000
pad
votes
that he had
ahead
coming
of
out
John
that
F.
primary.
Kennedy, kind of
Go
whooping
down
his
to those
ass a
coastal
little
counties
bit.
there. Glenn County, a big
Shit.
one here. Jackson
Looks like he's kind of. It looks like he's actually pretty close in a lot of
was
areas.
59. He's 12.
Not gonna
points. He's
lie.
very consistent here. Lowndes County, where Valdosta is. This is a fair amount of vote here. The Jackson share here was 70. Oh my gosh, was 72. The two-way share between them. So wow. Right away, we got Jackson putting up. If you're him, these are dream numbers. If you're Rick Jackson. Early on here. If you're Jones, these are terrifying numbers. One thing I would say is what we set up at the beginning. This is the early vote, right? The election day vote is the vote that tends to be the more pro-Trump, the more pro-MAGA. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Trump has endorsed Jones.
There's a whole
so if that's going to really show itself, the election day vote.
A whole reason.
Better in. But this
that
is
MAGA decides to shit all over early voting and mail-in voting. And it's so all their votes come in all at once on election day.
Or it might have been 2
That's
days
the whole
ago,
point.
In the last 2 days, Donald Trump Jr. publicly said, basically, Rick Jackson's okay. He said he's a good man, and he said either way, he says not an endorsement, but either
Mike
way,
Collins
whether it's
is up.
Jones or Jackson,
200 votes.
MAGA wins. That was Donald Trump Jr. basically on the eve of this runoff. Did that indicate that the Trump folks
How
saw
are the
some
coastal
polling
areas doing?
that what we're looking at
Oh,
right now
6 votes
might be coming and they
in
wanted to get a
Long
little bit
County,
ahead of
huh?
it? Well, okay, I think that's worth keeping in mind. Does that also reflect
Collins
that,
is
hey,
actually
maybe there were indications
performing
there that
fairly
this,
well
the MAGA, the pro-Trump vote
coastal
was not
Georgia.
going to Jones. So
This is what I'm
there's
saying.
indications of that certainly in what we're looking at from these results. Let's
I'm
get back
saying
over to
I
that
think
Senate
that
page here.
all those
12%
coastal
Mike Collins is
areas
taking
that
the
voted
lead
for
here,
Buddy Carter
statewide over
are going to
Dooley
predominantly
by-
swing towards
by
Collins. I might
206
eat my own
votes.
ass on that
Let's see here.
one,
Did we had Douglas, right?
but that's what I think
did
is
we,
going to happen.
I mean, let's just look through. I think the best thing we can do here is look at that trend that we established, right?
that's just what I think will
Collins
happen.
he can probably afford to run about 7 points. In any given county, he can probably afford to run about 7 points worse than he did in the two-way vote in the preliminary, okay? So we're just going to run through a series of them here and see what that trend looks like, okay? So right here, the number for Collins was 47 in the preliminary. He's running at 45. That's good for him, okay? Just one county here, but just this is what, this is a tiny, we showed you, okay, here we go. Collins is running at 47%. And what was the number here for him? It was 52. 52 down to 47, right? So it's only a 5-point drop for him. He's.
I wonder how exhausting
we're
it
seeing drops,
is
but we're not seeing them
for
necessarily
these guys
of the
to do this.
magnitude.
There's
He's
like
trying to
5% of the
get into his
damn vote in,
congressional
and
districts,
they're
and
like
it's small,
doing serious
showed you
election
Laconia
analysis.
County. Barrow County, okay, this is a pretty good
Oh,
one.
shit.
Good size here. This is in Collins District.
He's only up by, like,
Collins' two-way share
votes.
here was 59 in the preliminary, down 10 points right there. So that's what Dooley would want to see. Jackson County, had we shown you this one before? If we didn't, we'll show it to you again. We're outside of the Collins congressional district, but he got 55 in the two-way vote in the preliminary. It's 47. So you're seeing a mix here. You're seeing a mix for Collins. We just got, okay, this is Clayton County. If this were a Democratic primary, I'd be super excited now because this would be a ton of votes. It's not that many on the Republican side. This is right there, just outside Atlanta here. But again, Collins got 48% here in the preliminary. He's running at 40%.
Can I just say how crazy it is that
what am I missing? Some big stuff here. What's the biggest one? I'm not.
that Mike Collins has made it this far? Oh, they got the intern.
I'll go right back. This is a good size one. This is where Warner Robins is.
All right. Cease speaking. I think it's really insane how far Mike Collins has gotten in this whole process. And if he becomes the senator in this state, I might lose my fucking mind. I hold a special level of resentment in my heart for Mike Collins. If you recall, a couple of years ago, I made a episode that was solely dedicated to the Appalachia high school shooting. And infamously, Mike Collins is the representative of that district. And I said, what a shitbag piece of fucking garbage he is for saying that this isn't a problem with guns. It's just some mental health problems. And I said it's bullshit that they preach mental health crap and then they don't give you health care. And they actively destroy mental health resources in this country. So that part's bullshit. And his stupid ass fucking parents let him have a gun. Mike Collins is up 51% to 48% Derek Dooley. Oh my God, he might win this primary. I mean, I was expecting it. But like, good fucking Lord. He's such a clown ass. And I'm so upset that this is who the Republicans are choosing. I mean, look. Do I mention Mike Collins at all in this talk? Let's see. Interesting. So at the time, I ranted and raged about Mike Collins because his response to the shooting was fucking embarrassing, man. It was fucking embarrassing. Yeah, Mike Collins campaigned by promoting, everybody should get a gun no matter what, unless you're black, of course, because then that scares me a little bit. And that's what I'm running on. I'm your pro-Trump, America First, fucking moron, idiot. And here's me shooting a ballot box. Yeah, let me show the video, because it's on Facebook. It's going to look like shit.
Hey, Mike Collins here, your pro-Trump America First trucker, running for Congress here in Georgia 10. Well, I understand Joe Biden was in town yesterday to talk about our elections. It seems that he and Kamala Harris called anyone...
He and Kamala Harris. It's Kamala, by the way. It's just another example of racist old white men not knowing how to pronounce names. He and Kamala Harris,
who disagreed with the federal hijacking of this election, are racist. Well, Joe, I got some news for you. Let me tell you what Georgians really believe. First of all, you count the legal votes that were cast in the state of Georgia, Donald Trump won this state, period. Number two, get rid of those voting machines. Go back to paper ballots once and for all.
Grug hate machine. Grug hate machine. Go back to stick and stone. Pepper and pencil. Grug hate voting machine. Oh my god. Oh, I hate the MAGA Republicans, man. Oh my god. Grug think that we should just raise our hand. That's how we choose who we vote for. This makes me angry.
Number three, get rid of those ridiculous drop boxes across this state that the Democrats use to stuff the ballots and steal our elections. Number four.
Oh my god, I hate this stupid fucking thing, man. Oh, they just stuff them full of ballots. You don't think the people counting the votes see 15 people named John Smith and go, with the same driver's license on all of them and go, maybe only one of these is valid. Are we kidding me? They're not stuffing ballots. Dude, all of the recent instances of voter fraud in this country in the last 6 years have occurred and have been perpetrated by MAGA Republicans. Famously, the most famous example of all is Donald Trump getting the fake electors, allegedly, getting the fake electors in Coffee County to try to change their vote to switch Georgia red in the 2020 election. A famous example, allegedly. So stupid.
Let's go to national forensic audits in every election cycle across this country. As a matter of fact,
that's just fascism right there. Mr. States' Rights Republican over here wants the federal government to have oversight over your elections, over your state-run elections. A complete constitutional violation.
In fact, it's one of the first bills I'll introduce when I get to Washington. You see, Georgians are sick and tired of weak-kneed, spineless politicians who won't fight for Trump, get to the bottom of 2020, and fix our elections. Well, if they won't do it,
Get to the bottom
Mike
of
Collins will.
2020. He looks like he's never held a gun in his life, by the way. Why is there a cut there? Let me guess, because they needed to rig the explosive and then have the intern that set it off run out of the shot at the last second.
Send me to Washington. I'll fix this election. I'll get to the bottom of 2020 and I will fight for Trump's America First agenda.
Like I said, it doesn't look like this guy's ever held a gun in his fucking life. Yes, I really do hate Mike Collins. I really do. I will fucking door knock for John Ossoff if it means no Mike Collins. I will door knock for him. Don't play with me right now. I will fucking door knock for John Ossoff if it means getting rid of Mike Collins. I already am voting for John Ossoff anyway, I guess, because he's the only option I've got, even though he's a little flaky on Israel. But I will fucking door knock for John Ossoff if I have to. I will. I'll do it. Doesn't look like we've got any new results in the Senate race. It's still 51% to Derek Dooley's 49%. Not much has changed there. Shit, there's some Iran war stuff going on right now. Ooh, fuck. There's some interesting Iran war related stuff. Apparently, Iran's firing drones at commercial ships, even though the deal was signed on Sunday. And the Senate failed to advance the War Powers Resolution 30 minutes ago. And Israel's advancing into Lebanon still, violating the terms of the agreement. So, I wonder what Trump will do. Just saying, but it might be time to make the boss call. Just saying. What's going on in the governor's race runoff? Holy shrimp! Oh my god! Bro! Jeez Louise, man. Rick Jackson, 59%, 20% of the vote. Holy crap. He seems to be doing really well in coastal Georgia. Man. They're tied in this. Oh my god, man. Look at that, look at that. He's doubled it in Gwinnett. He is more than doubled it in Walton. I guess he's more than doubled it in Gwinnett too. He has more than doubled it in Fulton. Hurd, Troop. I think that's how you say that. Randolph. I'm trying to look for like high voter density areas. Like he's doing really well in Jackson County, Barrow County. This is where Mike Collins is from. Yeah. Damn, dude. He's doing a lot better than I thought he would. Damn. I guess people are kind of sick of this wet-ass blanket. I have been seeing, like, all over TV back when I used to actually catch wind of television, which was just a couple weeks ago. I've been seeing all over the TV ads for Rick Jackson where he's, like, shitting all over Burt Jones, shitting all over the other candidates that were running before. What an interesting turn of events, man. Wow. It is kind of nuts. All of these coastal counties, now we are just looking at only 20% of the vote, but all of these coastal counties in the initial runoff primarily went to to Burt Jones. Like all of these counties. And by a decent margin too. Rick Jackson only did well in this area here, the southwestern-ish part of the state. He did pretty well in like the North Metro Atlanta kind of area up into the mountains a bit. And he picked up a few counties here and there. But Burt Jones, for the most part, kind of wiped the state clean by pretty big margins. It's shocking right now that in the coastal region, Burt Jones is seemingly not getting that many votes at all. And I don't know if that's just like the early vote, but I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? That Rick Jackson's picking up all these new voters, seemingly. Don't even remind me about Keisha Lansbaugh. Fuck. Oh my God. And he's still up. I mean, he's still kicking it. Oh, we got some Alabama stuff going on. Wow. Isn't it funny how all of the southern states have runoffs? Does that not disturb anybody? Oh, another bump came in. 24% of the vote just came in. It just updated. We got more votes. Rick Jackson topping the 110,000 mark at 60%. Burt Jones still at only 75,000 votes. We've got a quarter of the vote in.
All right, folks, there we go. So while we were doing that, as you can see, we've ticked up to 24%
Mike
here
and Derek
in the
are still
Senate
pretty neck and neck.
runoff here. Collins and Dooley have kind of
That's
been trading
why I'm
positions.
kind of
there.
assuming
Show
that
you the
Rick
governor's
Jackson
race, what
might
that
have
looks
this
like.
one
I
in
mean,
the
first of all,
bag.
just a clear difference between these races. We're looking at the same pool of votes, of ballots that have been counted in each race. In one of them, it's working out to dead even in what's been counted so far. In the other, it's working out to a giant advantage for Rick Jackson. Adam, have we seen any more Election Day vote?
Yeah, we have a couple counties with Election Day vote. I was just looking at Webster County. It was Jackson plus, I think I wrote down here, 46 in the pre-Election Day vote, and it was Jackson plus 14 in the Election Day vote.
Wow.
Pulaski County is the one I was just looking at. That one was 54-46 in the pre-election day vote for Jackson.
It was Jackson plus 8 in the pre-election.
Yeah, and then it was 55-45 for Jones in the election day.
Wait, okay, Jackson plus 8 to Jones, to Jays I'm seeing here. This is Jackson plus 8 and then Jones plus 10.
Plus 10, right.
Wow, okay.
Those were the two counties I was looking at. There's a couple other small counties. Let's see if we can.
We're seeing big
find
swings
them.
here, yeah.
Yeah, so Greene County is another one.
Yeah.
It was 56-44 in the
For who?
early in person for Jackson.
Jackson was plus 12.
And then in the election day, this one's not all in.
Right.
But Jones is leading that 55-45.
So 20. So the swing is 22 points. The swing is 18 points, right? And the swing is 32 points. That's the net swing that we're seeing in Jones's direction. The difference now in 3 counties here that we're getting these election day results from versus the early vote. So wow, just like I said, those initial numbers we saw, those initial returns of the early voting were dream numbers for Jackson. Those initial election day vote numbers that we're seeing are dream numbers for Jones. So this is now netting out to. We posed that question right away as we started to see Jackson putting those numbers up there. You know, we saw right away Jones is going to need to have monster election day numbers.
It is very interesting to see Jones not doing well in the coastal region anymore. And I wonder what candidate was booted from the race that where all those votes are now going to Jackson instead of Jones. It's at 111,000 now overall for Jackson. But let me look at the original voting data. So here are the original primary results from the primary that took place last month. And as you can see, Jones took this like whole region by pretty big margins too. Like in a lot of places not in a lot, but like in a handful of places over 50% of the vote. Is it because Carr is gone? Is it because Chris Carr is gone? Is it because Brad Raffensperger's gone? Were Brad Raffensperger voters that maybe don't like Trump that much and liked the phone call, the only thing that Brad had to his name? People who liked the fact that he stood up to Trump over the phone? Is it people like that that are now trying to vote for Jackson? But then yet again, that's not enough people. I guess it might be enough people if it's all the Raffensperger voters, but I almost wonder if the Chris Carr, because Chris Carr is the Attorney General? I almost wonder if it's the Carr and Raffensperger voters that are swapping to Rick Jackson because they don't fuck with Burt Jones like that. I mean, think about it. Burt Jones is a MAGA Republican. Kemp is really like a MAGA light. He's not that MAGA. The fact that he stood up to Trump during the 2020 election and beat out Trump's handpicked candidate David Perdue in his primary back in 2022. I mean, he's in the eyes of the Georgia voter, the Republican Georgia voter, he's really not that much of a MAGA Republican to them. And the fact that he didn't endorse he endorsed someone like Derek Dooley over Mike Collins might give people, I think he did still swing for Jones because it's his lieutenant governor. But the fact that Jones is so clearly MAGA, so clearly this like corrupted far right-wing individual, I don't think people fuck with that. I think a lot of these voters kind of fuck with Rick Jackson a lot more. And someone who would have otherwise voted for Chris Carr or Brad Raffensperger might go to the polls and go, you know what, fuck this, I'm voting for Rick Jackson. I want new eyes on this thing. And if that's the case, she's fucked, man. She's so screwed. I mean, look at these primary margins. Jason Estevez, who used to represent the Atlanta area in Senate District 6, he got almost 20% of the vote. He got over 200,000 votes. And won the majority of the votes in the Fulton County district. Keisha Lance Bottoms, who is remembered by Atlanta residents as being a very substandard mayor, not being that great, and they didn't even vote for her in the primary. Will she be able to crank out a win in the midterms against someone like Rick Jackson, who is seemingly pretty bulletproof? I mean, he's like a Republican's wet dream of a candidate, a standard businessman, like, you know, outsider candidate who is essentially what Trump was 10 years ago. You know, Republicans love that shit. Fiscal conservatives love that shit. And so I don't know if Lance Bottoms even has a chance. This is why I was so worried about her, because I already don't like her. And the fact that she is now the candidate, and this is who she might be facing, is Rick Jackson, dude, she might be screwed. I don't know if she can pull this off. She might actually be screwed. I don't know, man. That's risky business right there. Burt Jones at 122,000 votes now. Over a quarter of the votes are in. Whoo. Oh, man. It's still going hard.
We say 7 points. He can afford to, shave about 7 points off that margin. That would knock him to 45. So if it stays at 45, it indicates a super close race statewide. But if the rest of that vote, the election day vote, is at all more Collins, he will be over the number that he can, 45 is probably the target for him. He'll be over that. So these are like sort of, what would you say, prospectively, the numbers you're seeing kind of across the board here in this Senate race, in the Senate runoff, are prospectively good for Collins, better for Collins than Dooley. What Dooley needs to have a shot here is something that we really haven't seen in these primaries so far, and that is that that election day vote, in a Republican primary, doesn't substantially shift towards the Trump-endorsed, Trump-aligned candidate. And again, any more election day vote we got, Adam?
Not at this second.
Okay, you'll flag anything we get there, right?
Yep.
Okay, because that's the question of the hour. Is what are we looking at there? I think had we shown you Columbia in the Senate race, suburbs here of of Augusta. I don't. Forgive me if I went. I think I went through this on the governor's side. Do you remember? It was the governor's.
I don't remember. Richmond and Paulding were the ones that just came over. Coweta just came over.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I just caught my attention.
Yeah. Okay. So Paulding's a pretty good size here. Okay, right. Paulding, you may remember from our 14th district special election coverage. So again, this is sort of a fast-growing area here, sort of Atlanta exurbs. Okay, so Dooley is slightly ahead here.
I barely
in the early
even
count,
remember
and the Collins number here was 52 in the preliminary. And again,
I've been to Paulding County.
He won the two-way share pretty handily over Dooley in the preliminary, meaning
crazy
he could
knowledge.
come down off that preliminary number and still be okay.
He's stop getting hung up on the percentages here. I get that that's kind of his whole shtick. All right, bro. I get that's kind of his whole shtick, but maybe he actually has like a list with pictures of every county. Okay, maybe I'm giving him too much credit. I get that his whole shtick is that he's doing election analysis on like instant results, but it's kind of empty because it changes so rapidly. I mean, look at how neck and neck Mike Collins and Derek Dooley were, and now Mike Collins seems to be pulling ahead at a pretty rapid pace. Rick Jackson, though, that's the race that I'm shocked by right now. Because that race is 30% of the vote so far, and he's still at 60%, man. And look at how many of these coastal counties he's picking up. Look at that. Here are the 3 counties down here that Jones is leading in. This one by a pretty wide margin. But some of these other counties, like he's leading by 300 votes here, 200 votes here, 100 votes here, almost 4 votes. But he's still leading all of these counties, and I don't know how long. Look, Long already flipped. I don't know how long he can hold these margins, but I mean, look at all these other counties that are still holding strong for Jackson. Look at that. In Coweta, he has 1,600 more votes than Jones, and that's with 30% of the vote in. Fulton County, 6,000 more votes than Jones. DeKalb, 2,000 more. Gwinnett, 4,000 more. Almost 5,000 more. Walton, he's up by 1,400 more votes than Jones. I mean, he's crushing it right now, unfortunately. Does this county only have 140 residents? Are y'all seeing this too? Does this county only have 140 residents? What the fuck? What the hell? Okay. I guess that one's just never gonna change. Actually, it looks like they might only have 280 residents based on how many votes have come in. Maybe 300 at most. But yeah, the results right now for the governor's race, that's nuts. This margin here. Check out the lieutenant governor runoff. McLaurin's still up. I think McLaurin's got this, to be honest. I'm going to go ahead. Bum, 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 bum. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it for the Democrats in the lieutenant governor's race. Josh McLaurin, 83,000 votes, 54% of the vote, almost 55. 43% of the vote counted so far. Folks, I think the chance, 55%. Parks losing a share of the vote. New votes have come in. 48% of the vote counted. 92,000 votes so far for Josh McLaurin. I'm going to go ahead and call that he won the lieutenant governor runoff. I'm going to go ahead and just say that right now. Let's see. Let's check out some of the other races. Attorney General. Oh, there weren't any runoffs for that one. The Secretary of State runoff. For the Democrats, Penny Reynolds. Huh. Nice. I think I voted for her in the primary, if I remember right. Penny Reynolds blast out a win, 64.4% of the vote, beats Dana Barrett in the Secretary of State runoff. Tim Fleming and Vernon Jones are still pretty neck and neck. Not really. Tim is kind of fucking dominating them right now, but you know, it's still not enough votes for them to call it. Looks like not a whole lot of Democrats showed up to this runoff, by the way, because only it looks like only about 300,000 people voted in this runoff on the Democratic ticket. Let's see. Got some House district runoffs. Take a look. Mike Collins up to 51%. Still pretty close. Only a 5,000 vote difference. This is the race that's kind of surprising me the most, but not really. I think it's the fact that it's Derek Dooley that's surprising me. But I guess it really shouldn't, because Buddy Carter was just what the hell was that? Was just like a carbon copy of Mike Collins. I can see why a lot of voters would be like, I'm not voting for Diet Coke, I'm going to vote for Coke Classic. You know what I mean? It's kind of the whole argument about Democrats running as moderate Republicans in elections. Like, why would Republicans vote for Diet Republican when they can vote for Republican full sugar type of deal? You know what I mean? So my thought is that people didn't vote for Buddy Carter because they thought, why would I vote for this fucking guy when Mike Collins is way more well known and he is way more bold on his stances? I'm going to vote for him. And then you have moderate conservative Republicans that don't fuck with MAGA, I guess, and are voting for Derek Dooley. It's just so weird how close this race is. If I had to put money down, I would say it'll be Mike Collins winning, but I'm not totally confident in that. You can call me on it. I might fold. Ugh. I love Dr. Pepper. Oh, so good. Let's go back. The governor runoff. This is the most interesting race. Because with 35.5% of the vote, Rick Jackson is still pummeling, just pummeling Burt Jones. This is a rough look. This is really rough. Oh my god, that picked up on the mic. That guy slamming his door. Holy crap, I think the mic picked that up. I just saw the meter spike right as he shut his door. This is the most interesting race to me right now. They're saying it's too early to call. I guess once it gets to 50% of the votes counted and he's like at a big enough margin, they might just call it, bro. This is crazy. Let's see what Kornacki's up to, man.
Green counties.
Yeah.
I don't know. We may have done green before, but
It's our last chance to really soak it in.
We could talk through those if you want to talk through
before
them.
Alabama ruins our
Banks
fun,
County,
as usual.
I have the early vote at 63-37 for Jackson.
Sorry. 63-37 Jackson. You have Jackson plus 26 with the early vote, right?
And then on the election day, I have it for Jones 53-47.
You have Jones, so we have a 32-point swing there.
That's right.
Wow. Okay, so there's one that, sorry. I'm just trying to take stock of the clock here because it's also, we have Alabama closing in 9 minutes.
We'll also join Stay Tuned at the top of the hour as well.
Oh, man. Alabama closes in 9 minutes. Quick. Let's do 15 minutes of election analysis with 0% of the votes counted. Like we did with Georgia an hour ago.
Update on Georgia.
Yes,
Okay.
and as polls close in Alabama, they just kind of want an overview of the night.
Okay, folks. One thing I'll tell everybody just about Alabama when it closes, it's a pretty slow counting state. We'll spend more time kind of setting it up right there. I think you know the basic dynamics. Barry Moore, the Trump endorsed candidate, finished first in that preliminary, but Jared Hudson, there's a lot of signs in the polling that Hudson's got some real life there. Could be a very interesting race. Just to set that up, though, it's pretty sluggish getting those numbers going there. Folks watching in D.C. tonight, we haven't forgotten about your mayor's race. Look, I'm not going to leave this for more than a second, but we got it teed up here. The polls are closing in less than 10 minutes. We'll dive into it, but we're going to be showing you results from there tonight. Going back over here to Georgia, and at 9 o'clock also, at 8 o'clock, excuse me. At 8 o'clock also, we got Oklahoma.
That's right.
Coming right, okay. Oklahoma, we got an interesting gubernatorial primary. There's a Trump endorsement there. It's a multi-candidate race. We're going to be doing some, don't worry, Sooners and Cowboys. And Tulsa Golden Hurricane. I don't want to miss any schools right there. Oral Roberts. We got you all covered. We're going to do some Oklahoma as well. But in the time that we have right here, you mentioned Banks. I think Adam is completed. So let's take a look at Banks. Again, small, about 2,000 votes, but completed. So we can start to answer some questions here. Gubernatorial primary. I think you told us that Jones got some pretty big improvement right here. His number in the preliminary, this was basically a tie between Jones and Jackson in the preliminary, and Jones finishes with 44% here. Again, 4 points or so. He probably wants 46 or above. Again, missing the number by 2 points in a county this small by itself is not at all catastrophic. It may not even be significant, but if it continues to be the trend, that's the problem for Jones. So again, this is the third time we got a completed county, all of them small, where Jones is falling a little bit short of that number. Let's take a look at Banks here, though, in the Senate race. Let me call that one up. Okay, so now we got completed here as well. Collins wins it by about 3 points over Dooley. But the question is, what was Collins' number here in the preliminary? The Collins number in the preliminary.
You know, I think the governor's runoff right now is the most interesting one. Rick Jackson is still at 58.8% of the vote. 38% of the vote has been counted. I think Burt Jones is finished, man. I'm calling it early. If I were a betting man, I would say that Burt Jones has lost this runoff. I could be wrong. If the results magically flip within the next hour, then fine. I'm wrong. And then, so what does that look like? Lance Bottoms versus Rick Jackson, huh? I don't know if Lance Bottoms can even pull out a win. Let me look at the polls. Let's look at the polls. I want to look at how they're polling the candidates against her. Give me a prediction poll. Interesting. Echelon Insights. Are they a reputable think tank? I mean, they have a 6.5% margin of error, it looks like. I mean, These are done by Echelon Insights. These are polls taken in April. So before the initial primary. And they polled how Jackson would do against Bottoms and how Jones would do against Bottoms. And 49% would vote for Keisha Lance Bottoms, and 43% would vote for both Jones and Jackson. That seems a bit dumb. And also, they're within the margin of error of each other anyways. That's a really dumb poll. I want a good, reputable poll, people. WABE has a good... Oh, the PBS website. Let's see what they've got going on. Oh, this is just a podcast. Oh. Guess they aren't doing any polling yet. I just wanted to know how they think the two candidates will do against each other in a general election scenario. Tim Fleming won the Georgia Secretary of State runoff. Very nice. Okay. Yeah, let's see how that's going. So it'll be Penny Reynolds versus Tim Fleming. Maybe I'll make an episode about the Secretary of State race. I also wanted to make one about Tanya Miller and Brian Strickland. So maybe I'll make a joint video between those two races. So y'all have an idea of who is doing what and who to vote for. I mean, it's always like the Democrat candidate, they bought everybody pet supplies, and not a puppy, but pet supplies, and they shook everybody's hand and thanked everybody for coming out, ate food with them, and yes, they sent some money to Israel, but and then the Republican candidate is like, he has a minority kill count in the triple digits. He abuses his kids. Did I mention he's a guy? It's shit like that. He killed someone on a bike with his car in 2017. Fucking Blake Tillery, bitch ass motherfucker. Fuck you, Blake Tillery. He lost his primary. He got booted, bro. I believe he was running for lieutenant governor. He got booted. That stupid fuck. I kept seeing signs for him all over the place. I was like, who was voting for this guy? This dude ran over somebody and killed them. And got away with it. Fucking got away with it. So yeah, Penny Reynolds versus Tim Fleming. I'm pretty sure I voted for Penny Reynolds during the primary. She's a judge. What do you know? It's like I said, the Democrat is always like, here's her description: highly dedicated public servant, author, educator, former jurist, and she's a judge. And then the Republican is like, this guy voted to eat your baby. Yeah, here's what I mean, man. Here's what I fucking mean. Here's this description. Oh my god, where does it say that at? Where does it say that at? Oh my god, is it his about section or something? Where does it say that at? It said it on the Georgia SEO. As former chief of staff to Governor Kemp and deputy secretary of state under then Secretary Kemp, Tim took on Stacey Abrams' election schemes, cracked down on voter fraud, and streamlined professional licensing. Now serving in the state house, he continues to lead efforts to secure our elections and cut red tape. Cut red tape is like, we have regulations against how much mold can be in your child's ceiling. And now we're going to make it to where your kid will just have lung cancer by the age of 9. But it makes it easier for builders to build. That's the red tape they're referring to. Oh,
Steve Kornacki at the big board.
Kornacki's
Steve,
got a
great to
friend.
see you. You've been watching this before the show. So polls closed about an hour ago in Georgia. How's it looking right now?
Yeah, we got some interesting races here. Two close races in our hands here. First, in that Republican runoff for the United States Senate, the winner getting Democrat John Ossoff in November. Congressman Mike Collins is leading the count right now over former Tennessee football coach Derek Dooley, also the son of a former University of Georgia football coach. That might be more relevant right here. But a 14,000 vote advantage, Collins over Dooley. The numbers I would say that we've been looking at, that Dooley has been competitive, but what's happening right now is the election day vote, the vote that was cast in person at the polls today, is starting to get added to the mix.
Yeah,
and what we found in these Republican primaries this year has been that vote has tended to be the more pro-Trump, pro-MAGA vote. Collins, of course, running with the Trump endorsement here. So far what we've been seeing is that election day vote has been added in, has been probably a little bit better for Collins than it is for Dooley. Still a very competitive race, though. And on the governor's side here, just take a look at this, Gotti. Rick Jackson, sort of conservative insurgent candidate, self-funding, has poured a ton into this with a big advantage over the lieutenant governor, Burt Jones. But that dynamic I just said about the election day vote, the pro-Trump, pro-MAGA vote starting to get added in. What we're seeing here is that election day vote, where we've seen it, has been pretty friendly to Jones, and Jones running with the Trump endorsement in this race. So Jones is going to need to have big numbers to turn this around when the election day vote's added in. There are some early indications, Gotti, that he could be able to do that. If he does, this is a real barn burner on the gubernatorial side.
Wow. And outside of Georgia,
I think I'm just more so shocked at how that race turned out. It's the one race in the runoff that I have predicted incorrectly. I was assuming that the MAGA-backed establishment Republican Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones would be the obvious pick in this runoff. And the healthcare executive, like, last-minute insert into the race has just swept the board. I mean, I even said it at the time when I was making my video on this, that he just came into the race, wrecked house, destroyed every other candidate's dreams of being the governor. And here he is in the primary runoff. He might be the candidate to be governor. And he might boot out the lieutenant governor out of this race. I mean, what a crazy upset for the Republicans, am I right? I'm just a bit shocked, is really all it is. Ugh. I'm getting tired, bro. It's 8 o'clock. I've been up since 4. Let's get some Steve Kornacki on the fucking screen while I go throw out this can.
It's calculation.
Oh, here's some DC news.
yeah, it's just another system to keep track of. Here in California District 14 for Swalwell's seat. Like, that seems to be seeing some redistricting, like, whiplash, right? How's that looking?
Yeah, I mean, this is, folks, try to follow me if you can on this one, because, boy, it doesn't get more confusing than this. But so California, a couple things happen here. This is a special election to fill the seat of Eric Swalwell. Remember, Eric Swalwell resigned in scandal. He had been running for governor, so his seat came open here regularly, but then he resigned his seat altogether, and it triggered a special election. So this is the special election tonight. It's California. Democrats and Republicans all run on the same ballot. And then the top, if somebody gets 50%, they win on the spot. Otherwise, the top two will advance to a runoff. The winner, ultimately, this will only serve probably the remaining, probably end up being a couple months of that unexpired Swalwell term. But in the interim, the lines have changed a bit. But in the sort of new version of Swalwell's district, they already had the preliminary, and the leading candidate was Aisha Wahab there. She was the leading candidate. She still has to run in the general election. But bottom line is, you'd expect her to do well tonight based on how she did in a similar district in California's June primary. I don't know if that made any sense.
No, it did. Wait, okay, so let me just make sure I'm following. So they are going back, again, California has redistricted But they are going back to the original district lines for this vote, even though all other elections going forward are using the lines today, right? It boggles the mind that this is, again, this is a complex system that is used here in California. It is in flux right now. I know in Georgia, just speaking of redistricting in particular, Georgia, they're going into a special session tomorrow where they're drawing up lines potentially for 2028, and that's all under, review by the court system. Again, how do you keep track of this, Steve?
Yeah, no, look, that's it in California. They redistricted for all the seats that are up for election this November. And so we had the primaries a couple weeks ago for all of those districts. So we set that up. And as that's happening, sort of on this parallel track, Swalwell resigned from Congress altogether. So his seat is currently vacant in Congress. So this is an election to fill that seat until the end of this Congress, when whoever gets elected this November will take it permanently. So yeah, this is the lines were all redrawn for redistricting. So right, this is the sort of original version of the 14th district. And again, the winner here gets this job for a couple months, but this is a lot of overlap between who's running in the new version of it too.
Yeah, wild stuff. Steve Kornacki, really appreciate you breaking all that down for us. Thank you so very much, and we'll be checking back with you probably as the night continues.
You got it. Okay, folks, let me put Georgia right back up here.
I just realized that it's just hosting the normal ass show, and
somebody just call my name.
Popping into Kornacki.
Okay. Sorry, Adam is giving me guidance from.
So going back to this race, we are getting some election day precincts out of Gwinnett. That's our first. We have about 8 precincts.
I'm sorry, are we in the gubernatorial race we're talking?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We have about 8 precincts, but it's about 1,000 votes. Mm-hmm. And Jones is carrying those 52 and a half to...
He's still banging out these fucking votes, man. Holy crap. $186,000. Although the margin between the two is slowly narrowing. Like with every new wave of votes, the margin between them is slowly narrowing. Like he went from like 59% to now he's down to 57%. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but we're only at 42% of the vote counted. And he still has some hold over the coastal area of the state. He's still got some hold over this. I think his margins are definitely narrowing, like in this county, Glenn County. He's only up by 14 votes. Camden 300, not bad, but like Ware, he's up by 1 vote. I mean, come on. Jones is taking these counties right now. Yeah, it looks like the initial wave of Jackson votes in the coastal area are starting to wane a little bit over the course of the night. But he's still doing pretty damn well in the other counties, like in the metro area. He's still doing pretty well. He's still up by a lot. Like, look at that margin in Gwinnett. Look at that margin in DeKalb. Fulton County especially. Douglas County, he's up by a lot. Cobb County, he's up by a shit ton. Paulding County up by a decent amount. Harrelson up by a lot. Carroll up by a lot. Hurd doesn't have enough votes for me to say that about them. Coweta, he's up by about 1,600 votes. Sorry, Hurd County. Fayette County, what the fuck? They haven't reported anything from Fayette County. Dude, I was just tweeting some shit talk about Peachtree City today on Twitter. My God, they really don't leave the bubble. They can't even leave the bubble to go deliver the votes to the fucking counting office. Holy shit. 1% of the vote in. Y'all have been doing this for an hour. Chop chop, man. He's up in Clayton. I mean, the fact that this whole metro area I don't think you consider Pike and Lamar part of the metro area, but the whole metro area of Atlanta being this red for Jackson, and while Jones is picking up like small victories in these little outer counties that surround the metro area, and then on top of that, he's crushing this area. Granted, not by a ton, but still a lot. Like, it matters. And then, like, Bert's taking some of these border counties, some of these areas here. Bacon. Like, I'm making fun of Fayette County, yet there's, like, 0% in, like, Atkinson and fucking Coffee County and all that. But, you know, and then he's over here picking up a lot of these coastal counties, too. Granted, Jones is also holding a decent amount of them now, too. It's a little mixed bag. But it's just, it's a big deal when this whole area here is just a sea of red for Jackson. This whole area here. Yeah, Peachtree City. Let me pull up that tweet, actually, because I thought it was kind of funny. Me fucking ragging on Peachtree City. So there's this account on Twitter called Everything Georgia. And they like to post a lot of inflammatory posts. Like, just random posts that sometimes can be a bit inflammatory. They've posted a lot of World Cup stuff. But anytime he posts about Atlanta, it's always some like gentrification shit, gentrification type of shit. It's always something about like MARTA being dangerous or some crazy guy on the MARTA train. Especially after the stabbing recently. But all of his posts are very weird. Every time he mentions Atlanta, they're very weird. And he posted 5 points looking good. It hasn't been this clean in 37 years. That's what he posted. And someone quote retweeted it and said, where does this account live? Because it's giving Peachtree City. I said on Twitter, I responded, bold to assume Peachtree City residents would ever step into Atlanta, let alone leave the bubble. The day I learned what the bubble was, I hate this shit. Dude, it's literally the concept of Peachtree City residents being so sheltered from the outside world that they don't ever leave the area. That's like their little golf town oasis. Very weird city. One of the weirdest cities I've ever been in. It feels like a whole different area. It doesn't feel like Georgia at all. We got some results out of other areas of Georgia. Congressional District 11, John Cohen has won that primary. If you live in District 11, good on ya. If we continue to look, though, at the main elections, yeah, Rick Jackson's about to top 200,000 votes. A new wave of votes came in. He dropped from 57.7 to 57.1. If it continues at this rate, because only 44.5% of the votes been counted or reported. If it continues at this rate, then it's safe to say that you know, it's safe to say that the margins might be a lot closer than we think. Oh, big news, folks! Big news. Folks, you heard it here. Mike Collins is officially projected the winner of the 2026 Republican runoff primary for the Senate. Mike Collins is officially the winner of this primary with 180,000 votes. Derek Dooley not going to squeeze out this win. Like I predicted, all these coastal areas going to Mike Collins. That was going to be a big factor on if Collins won or not, if all those Buddy Carter votes were going to come out and support Collins. He's not talking about it right now, but Derek Dooley, though, still took a large section up here. So it really does show all these little counties out here are definitely pivotal to win this race. Yeah, Mike Collins. Ay. Squeezed out a win in the Republican primary. I really do hate fucking Mike Collins. But hey, at least this means that there's a higher chance Jon Ossoff wins this race in the general. It's a much higher chance. Moderate Republicans don't like Mike Collins. I kind of almost spilled my water everywhere. They don't like Mike Collins. They don't like the MAGA Republican stuff. They don't like the election fraud bullshit from 2020. They don't fuck with that. So Ossoff's chances have just gone up. I think it would have been a little bit harder to win that election with Derek Dooley. There's less to attack. You can attack him on his policy and whatnot, but Mike Collins is genuinely an abhorrent character and a terrible person. And his policies are downright dangerous and trash. And so it's going to be a lot easier to attack those if Ossoff's campaign's on its A game. Pretty interesting shit, man. That was a close-ass race. I'm surprised they haven't called the Rick Jackson one yet. I guess they figure that race could just swing the other direction so fast. I'm honestly surprised that NBC has already called the Republican primary for the Senate. That's a little surprising. Let's check the other runoffs real quick. The lieutenant governor runoff. I think I'm just going to personally call that McLaurin's got it. 52% of the votes 53% of the votes been counted. He's at 55%. I'm going to go ahead and say he's probably got this one in the bag. I don't see her, I don't see her coming back from this one. Sorry, Parks fans. Rick Jackson still at 195,000 votes. I really am shocked that they would call such a close race for the Senate, but not call a much wider race for the gubernatorial. That is odd. He is still talking about it.
And was winning at 61-39.
Uh-huh.
And the election day vote is breaking 50-50.
Okay, so it is a 22-point shift. Okay, so with, as you can see, still we think half the vote to come right there. So what was the Jones share in the preliminary here? The two-way share for him was 53. Again, give or take a 4-point pad, and he'd want to be 49 or above, and he's running at 44. But again, he started when we got our first number of the night, our first vote report of the night in Carroll County, just the early vote, Jones was running at 38, right? We say he got to be 49 or above, probably above 49, okay? He started at 38, well below that number. We've now added in election day vote where he's doing a little bit better, and he's climbed. He's climbed to 44%. So that's the thing that's happening here. We're trying to gauge exactly the scale of this right here. So that's keep those coming at him. Those are hugely significant. They just said in my ear something. I can't. We have another hit.
Yeah, we're counting down to the to joining news now again. I think we're at about 2 minutes.
Okay. Do we have anything new?
About a minute.
About a minute. Okay. Nothing new in Alabama. What do they want to talk about, Adam, in News Now? Because it's
We'll update the call that we got and,
that
the
was-
Georgia governor race as well.
okay. Okay. We got about 30 seconds, so you just bear with me. I'm trying to crunch some numbers while we get ready to do.
Some guidance here from the decision desk.
Yeah.
So they reviewed Oconee County. The early in person, Jackson won 58-42. Election day, Jones won 57-43. I'll pick up after this, but
We had shown that, didn't we?
yes, that pattern repeating
Do
itself.
they have a statewide number?
That's the only number I have for you.
Okay, well, 15 seconds, folks.
Here, let's check in on so we actually have the president on line 1. Let's see what he thinks right now. He's wanting to call in to talk about the Mike Collins win. As you know, Mike Collins is his man, his boy. So yeah, let's hear from the president. All right. Mr. President, go ahead and take the floor. Well, folks, he did it, my favorite man, Mike Collins, he did it. He took the vote. He took the spot in the general midterm to destroy and beat off Jon Ossoff. That's right. He's going to go in there and he's going to beat off Jon Ossoff. That's right. Now you might be thinking, wow, Mr. President, why would you want Mike Collins to go in there and beat him off? Folks, I'm just looking for a show. As you know, we recently held a show in front of the White House. Right? Big show. Bigger than Nixon 3. Bigger than Nixon 3. Losers, that's what they are. Losers. Bigger than Nixon 3. We held a big show. I love being entertained. That's right, I love being entertained. We held a show. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of what I'm going to be seeing in November when Mike Collins, beautiful, big, strong hands, Mike Collins, goes up on that stage and beats Jon Ossoff off. Now, folks, you might be wondering, can Mike pull it off? Can Mike pull it off? Look at that right there. Steve Kornacki talking about Mike Collins. That's right. Can he pull it off? I think he can. I think with the power of Trump, it's kind of like God. I'm a little like Jesus in a way, if you really think about it. I think if he harnesses my divine will, he'll beat Jon Ossoff. I mean, think about it. Let's get into the weeds a little bit here, folks. Mike Collins, good Christian boy. Jon Ossoff, he's Jewish. He doesn't have Jesus on his side like I do. He doesn't have the doctor on his side. I'm just a doctor, not Jesus. So they say. I think Mike Collins has it in the bag. And I think he could win this Senate seat. That's right. We're going to flip the Senate. If he doesn't win, I'm going to cry and bitch about it for the next 4 years. If I live that long, calling it election fraud. Thank you, folks. And this podcast is terrible. I don't know why you watch it. This podcast is terrible. I'm going to tell the FCC to pull your license. This podcast sucks. And it should be taken off the air. Thank you, folks, for listening to me, and I hate Forbidden FM. Good night, folks. God bless America, and God bless Israel. Wow. Very scathing words from the president about our podcast here. Wow. Didn't even get to ask him about what he thinks about my suit, bro. I wanted to know what he thought about the suit. I mean, does he fuck with the tie? The unironed the baby blue button-up shirt that makes my chest look great. Shows my workout progress. Look at that, folks. You never seen a guy that's jacked in a fucking suit before, have you? So yeah, Mike Collins is the projected winner according to NBC. He's still leading by, about 30,000 votes in the current counting. They just posted something that says, "Why does it look like the governor's race is close?" It doesn't look like it's close. This is indicative of what we were seeing in counties across the state. So this is what they just said from the decision desk. In Oconee County, where counting is complete, the early in-person vote went to businessman Rick Jackson, 58-42 over Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. In the election day vote, Jones won 57-43 over Jackson. This is indicative of what we were seeing in counties across the state. We expect more election day votes than in-person early votes, which makes it possible for the race to tighten and potentially flip, though Jackson is currently in the lead. He's in a pretty big-ass fucking lead, bro. He's in a pretty fucking big-ass lead. That would be nuts if the results flipped. He's already back up to 55.5, so I don't know, man. He has like a 40,000 vote, and more than that, almost a 50,000 vote lead over Burt Jones. I don't see him losing this at this point. With over 52% of the vote counted, I don't see him losing this at this point. All right, I'm gonna get some water. Listen to Kornacki.
I think. Okay, yeah. Shit. Well, this is one of the bigger.
Listen to Kornacki. I'm gonna get some water.
Fully reporting. So let's use Morgan and then let's go to Cherokee. 50-50 here. Jackson Jones, right? So the Jones number here in the preliminary was 59, and we're completed, and he's running at basically 50. So he's not. We've shown you now 6 or 7 completed counties where Jones is running just under that number. Add that to the list. Cherokee County, big one. All right, so you say you got about 2,000 election day votes here?
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us what the this is hugely significant one. So tell us what the breakdown was early versus same day.
So the early was 65-35 for Jackson.
Right.
And the same day is breaking for Jackson 54-46.
8. Yeah. So it's a 22-point shift. It's a 22-point shift away from Jackson. He is still winning that election day vote, but he's not winning it by the same margin. So the target here, or I should say what happened in the primary was Jones's number here was 49, right? And he's running at 36 right now. And if he's still trailing the election day vote by 8, right, that means he's running at 46 with the election day vote. And he wants to be at, I'd say 45 or above here. So, and this is not one, we're showing you small counties. You say you can miss by a few points, and make up for somewhere else. These are the kinds of counties where you don't want to miss. And I mean, again, Cherokee is massive. One of the biggest vote producing counties in this runoff tonight. And so while that is a 22-point shift in Jones's direction here, he's getting 46%. We have more than half the vote to come in right now, and he's winning. It's the election day vote, and he's getting about 46% of it. If he continues to get 46% of it, this number is going to come up. But this number's not going to come up to, I think, the bare minimum of what he needs here. He needs to be getting more than 46% of the election day vote in Cherokee County. He wants his number to be above 45% when all the votes are counted in Cherokee County. If he gets 46% the rest of the way, that's a lot of votes, and this number will come up. It will come up into the 40s, but it will fall short of that 45%. And again, this is the kind of county where if you're a few points short, it matters. So that's again, and it's 2,000 votes. That sort of clip that he's getting there, that 46% can change. I think it has to change for him. I think it needs to change for Jones right there. Do we have other big ones, Adam, where you're seeing this?
I'm taking
he's
a
still
look
up
around.
44,000 votes. Because I struggle to see a scenario where Rick Jackson loses this race. Right? Like, I don't know. I'd be shocked, is all I'll say. I've already said it like 5,000 times, but I don't know, man. I just can't see it happening. I guess while I'm watching this in mute for I'll talk about other stuff because the vote ain't gonna count much faster than that. Really liking this space. This room is huge. Like, to my left, there's nothing. I have like my stereo system, a little table with a lamp on it, a standing mirror in the corner, just cause. My old fridge, which is unplugged right now. I don't want it to be on because it's on carpet right now, and I also think the motor might have died, so I'm letting it chill. And I might throw it out. TBH. I don't really need it. I'm not gonna put anything in it. I think it served its purpose well. I've had it from like Christmas 2017 till now, but I mean it was in service up until like a month ago. So damn, almost 8 years. 7.5 years, huh? For one little mini fridge, yeah, I would say that's pretty damn good. For a fucking mini fridge, dog. My only like hang up with getting rid of it, and this is so stupid. I know it sounds so stupid. My only hang up with getting rid of it is that on the front of the fridge, I have a Sweetwater sticker. And that sticker I got when I was in high school because I was an intern for a recording studio. And I used to unpack all of our orders from Sweetwater. And so sometimes I would pocket the candy that came with it. Sometimes I would share the candy, but whatever. But almost every time I would take the sticker. And so like I stuck one to my computer case. That case is gone. I got rid of that case. It was like a CyberPower computer. It was a Fantex case. And I'm so sad I got rid of it. And it had the sticker on it. So I'm fucking upset. But I put the sticker on there wrong anyways, because if you took off the front panel to clean it, it pulled a corner of the of like the red line underneath the logo off. But on this fridge, it's like smacked on the top, front and center, on the front of the door. And if I have to get rid of my only other Sweetwater sticker that I still have, I'm gonna be so sad. I'm gonna be so upset, man. Whatever. I don't know. It's either that or I put like a board underneath it and plug it back in, see what it does, and then run my electricity bill up by having nothing inside that fridge. That's like my biggest thing. I just don't want my electric bill to be higher because I'm running a nuclear reactor out of this room. It would also make the room hotter. There's so many downsides to me still having a mini fridge. I live in this apartment, man. This is my apartment. I have a full-size fridge now. The only thing the mini fridge gives me is lazy access to like a soda at the most. Or I just make it like my alcohol fridge. Imagine I only plugged it in for special occasions when I have people coming over and I just put alcohol in it. Oh man. That'd be kind of sick. Huh. Could do that. Oh, that's stupid. I should just get rid of it. Taking up space. Not that I have any shortage of space. I mean, the stuff you see behind me is like the biggest part of this room that has space taken up in it. the thing against this wall. That's like the only thing up against this wall besides the fridge. And then this computer, my lamp. And like my stereos on the floor. This room is huge. I think it's honestly bigger than my last office. If not bigger, because it might not be bigger. I think I might just have less stuff, is what it is. But it's at the very least like more efficient in terms of space. Like it's a box instead of a weird oblong shape. And I have this long ass hallway next to me with a door at the very end. And when I go out that door, it leads to the foyer of the apartment. And then I just walk out. Behind this wall is my living room. So there you go. I'm wondering when I should call it for the stream, because I don't see a world where Rick Jackson loses this election. I'm not saying it's impossible, right? I think it's very much possible. But I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. That's it. Then again, I also didn't see Spencer Pratt getting so many votes in the LA mayoral election. So, I don't know, bruh. Yeah, Collins is still holding his lead pretty strong. He's actually gaining a bigger lead, so I guess it was right to call that election. Holy shit, dude. I'm going to talk about it in the main episode at the end of the week. It's so funny. It is so funny. The whole thing with the reflecting pool. Wow. Okay. The whole thing with the reflecting pool. I need to get out the whole clip collection that I'm going to include in the main episode. But like the reflecting pool after they painted the floor blue, because it's blue, it raises the water temperature because the dark blue floor is absorbing light from the sun at a way faster rate, and it's holding it. That's what happens when you, like, if you have a black car, your AC is gonna be working harder because it's hotter in the car. That kind of shit. Black absorbs heat and holds it, and lighter colors reflect the heat. So, because they painted the floor of the reflecting pool blue, the water temp has been going up, and because the water temp has been going up, this is such a Trump classic problem. Trump going, I don't understand this really basic scientific issue, and so fuck it. I'm going to do whatever I want, and, consequences be damned. And the reflecting pool now is just full of algae. Look at how green that is, man.
Here come all the ducks.
Look at how green that thing is. It's just full of algae. And then I see where Fox News is like, that you won't ever see another president doing shit like this.
I'm here at the newly renovated reflecting pool. It's painted American flag blue. And the Democrats are going to tell you, oh, there's green algae, it looks so bad, but there's pool guys cleaning it up right now.
Folks, we fucked up the reflecting pool, and now it grows algae at a much faster rate than it would have before. But here's what the Democrats won't tell you. We're cleaning that shit. You never see the Democrats cleaning the reflecting pool. That's right, Ow. Fuck. That's right, motherfucker. You'll never see the Dems cleaning the reflecting pool. Damn. That kind of hurt. I love this whole MAGA thing where they're like, the previous presidents didn't want to clean the reflecting pool. You know how hard it is to clean that big of a fucking pool, man? This has been like an ongoing issue with every presidency, is how to clean this damn pool. Like, what the fuck?
No other president would do that, but President Trump is still cleaning it up. How is the
No other president would do that. And then they found fucking some random person. Oh, man. Oh, is she wearing a fuck ice shirt? Oh, hell yeah. A, B, C, D, E, F. A, B, C, D, E, fuck ice. Nice. Nice. Love that. I wonder what she actually said. I wonder if she was like, this is dumb as fuck. The community note. Green. The Democrats will tell you there's green algae. There's pool guys cleaning it up. No other president would do that. And now, so this morning they hydrogen peroxided the reflecting pool. And somebody took a picture of the aerial view of the pool. And the middle is still green. So it didn't work. They're so fucked, man. They're so fucked. They're just gonna end up spending another 30 or how much money did he pay those guys? His like buddies to build this fucking thing. Dude, he's gonna end up like having to pay another $8 gajillion to his best friend to fix this problem. Oh, nice. Ossoff is already introducing bills. He's co-sponsoring a bill to ban corporate PACs. Wow. Yeah, good luck, Mike Collins. Good luck. What's Mike Collins going to do if he can't get his hands on that $9 APAC donation? What's he going to do? I don't know. How's he going to survive? His campaign might not live. A little update on the race. God, the whistle on my teeth is crazy. Looks like Oklahoma's got some cool Senate news. Kevin Hearn, not that cool. Kevin Hearn won the Republican Senate primary in Oklahoma. Rick Jackson, his lead has actually gone down a whole percentage point. 54%. Yeah, we get it. 54% to Burt Jones's 45%, almost 46%. He's at 256,000 votes. Okay, the race is starting to tighten a little bit. Uh-oh. Oh, here we go. Those coastal areas are starting to flip towards Jones. Look at that. Look at that. Jones gaining hundreds of votes, taking the counties in the coastal area. You know what? I might eat my own foot here. It looks like he's lost a little bit of market share in the Savannah area, but yeah, man, he's not holding on to these coastal counties too well. Glenn County, he's already down 500 votes. This is with most of the reporting in. Oh, damn, man. Oh, shit. What's Fayette County think? Oh, okay. Still going heavy for Jackson. Interesting. But remember, he can't just lose all of these counties down here. I mean, he needs as many votes as he can get. He can't just rely on this area here. It already looks like one of the metro counties has flipped for Jones, as well as some of the surrounding area. So, not a good look for Rick Jackson if the trend continues this way. Yikes. Real quick, I want to watch the vice president eat a pickle cake.
National Fudge Day for the VP, but I thought it would be too gay.
What is that? What the hell?
It's National Fudge Day for the VP, but I thought it would be too gay. So I did pickle cake instead. I'm not sure if I got it right.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Vice President, and enjoy your
Fudge cake would be too gay, but a pickle cake is fine.
pickle cake.
Thank you guys.
All right, that's it for us, everyone. Have a great night.
Sexy hippos and pickle cake.
You should have offered the pickle cake mid-interview with the vice president.
Pickle cake on the way to you.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you later.
Have a good show.
Because it's National Fudge Day for the VP, but I thought it would be.
What is going on Fox News, dude? Why did they give him a pickle cake? What the fuck is going on? What the hell? Oh my god, people that like AI blow my fucking mind. Look at this in the replies. What am I looking at? Okay. Anybody that paranoid about the perception of gayness as a closeted homosexual, come out and live your life, Jesse. Waters is the biggest closeted homo since Lindsey Graham. Weird that he thought a pickle was somehow less gay. What the fuck? Jeez, people. They're fucking his ass up. No pun intended. I mean, the race is still close. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of change within the next 20 minutes, but yeah, I mean,
tiny counties, and he's missed it everywhere else. Shout at him if big counties are coming in. I'm doing this just because we're...
Yeah. Well, and I do have an update on a number you've been looking for.
Yeah.
So I went through and compiled...
Why did the election numbers for Mike Collins go so solidly to Mike Collins? So solid that the decision desk at NBC could call that race. And yet, the votes are seemingly flipping in front of our eyes from Rick Jackson to Burt Jones. Looks like we're getting more votes in. It's still a 40,000 vote lead for Jackson, but with 63% of the vote in. So Jones has to make up 40,000 votes and get more on top of that to win this election solidly.
Is leading the election day vote by 9?
Yes.
Across counties where Jackson won the early by 17?
These are all the counties that have election day vote reporting.
Right.
And so in those counties, 135 of them, he's winning the election day vote. And in the corresponding early vote for those counties is that number.
So a 26-point shift?
That's what I'm seeing. And again, some of these are partial election day votes, but that's what I was looking at.
Okay. I got to think about that one because that's
I'm wondering when they're going to call it.
Quite matching up with these county by county things we're seeing, because a 26-point shift would be, he was losing the early as it
may be thrown off by some of these partial counties, but that's
okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's let's keep with our, just tell me too, if any, Forsyth, Cherokee, Atlanta Metro, Savannah, any of the population centers, if we get any kind of an update there, shout, because otherwise I just want to we see it's come down to 8 points, 63%, right? A minute ago, 59% of the vote was counted, and it was at 9. 4 more percent has been counted. It's election day vote. It's favoring Jones. It's come down to 8. So we want to see those big, we keep telling those big counties are really going to tell the story, because there's room for sort of noise with the small ones. But while we wait for updates from the big counties, let me just kind of continue to look through some of these, I'm looking for 95%. When it says 95, we think it means our decision desk thinks, all the votes are basically in, right? So Wilkes County, okay, we think all the votes are in. This is small, but just continue here. The two-way share for Jones in the preliminary was 63. Again, he led Jackson in the preliminary statewide. He led him 54 to 46. That was the two-way share between these candidates in the preliminary. So it means that he can probably afford to lose about 4 points in any given county. Jones can't off that number. So he could probably afford to get about 59% in Wilkes County, and that's what he lands with. He lands with just a fraction over 59. But again, that's not what we've been seeing him fall short in most places where we've gotten completed vote. I think we did Greene County earlier. I'm sure we did Greene County earlier, so I'll skip over that. We got Jasper County here. So again, taking a look here in the preliminary, Jones's share here. Let me select the pen. Jones got 68% of the two-way vote in the preliminary. That 4-point cushion, he probably wants 64, and he lands just under it here. So he's getting awfully close. It's getting awfully close, but that extra, that extra piece of it is elusive and all this. Okay, Butts County is a pretty big size here.
I don't know, man. That margin is closing in. Oh, he's at 53.8% of the vote. He's gone down even more. Shit.
To Northwest.
Man, that difference has shrunk a little bit more. He's now only leading by just under 39,000 votes. I don't know if that's going to be enough, though. I mean, I guess there are 265,000 votes left, but are enough of them going to flip for Burt Jones? Are we about to see a Burt Jones in 5? Fucking stupid, dude. Burt Jones in 5, baby. Burt Jones in 5. I'm looking vascular as hell on like one hand. It's not even that obvious. This hand has always struggled to look vascular, unfortunately. I don't really know what to do about that. I don't know. I a little worried. A little worried now. I mean, I think it would be good for for Lance Bottoms to go against Burt Jones. So I don't think Rick Jackson is a good person to pick in this situation. Does it gamble the possibility of a Burt Jones governorship? Yes. Would Rick Jackson maybe be not as bad, but still a pretty bad Republican governor? Yes. But Lance Bottoms definitely would probably have a larger chance of beating Burt Jones than Rick Jackson. I don't know. We'll see. Her campaign ads haven't been too bad. Dolezal and McLaurin are still leading the lieutenant governor primary runoffs, by the way. 73% of the vote. McLaurin, I'm still calling it for him. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. With Dolezal and John F. Kennedy, I mean, Dolezal's probably got it, but it seems like it's a closer race than I would expect. the margin between Jones and Jackson. Dude, this race is so crazy. This is all Kornacki's been talking about. He's been really focusing in on this Georgia race. Holy crap. Secretary of State race is still called. Cool. Keisha Lance Bottom's campaign ads have been pretty interesting, actually. Keisha Lance Bottom campaign ads. Her campaign ads have been pretty interesting. She has one called Do Something, one called Dream. I mean, I suppose they are working pretty well. Although I don't know how much this clip helps.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom. I've known her for a long.
They literally put Joe Biden. Ra's al Ghul came out, got Joe Biden, put him in the Lazarus pit, and said, "Biden, can you endorse former mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms?" And he went, "Who?" And they showed him a picture, and he went, "Oh, she's black." And they hit him with a shot of adrenaline, and he made this video. Look at how bad he looks, man. Holy shit, he looks way older. It's been a year and a half. He looks way older now.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom. I've known her for a long time, and she's something special. As mayor of Atlanta, Keisha faced every challenge a leader could face, and then some. A global pandemic, a major cyber attack on the city system, economic uncertainty that tested every community across Georgia. But she handled it all with steady, thoughtful leadership. That's the definition of battle tested. Keisha's tenure as mayor of Atlanta left $180 million in the bank without raising property taxes, gave historic pay raises to police and firefighters, created a child savings account for every kid.
I'm almost certain that pay raise to the police came like right after the George Floyd protests. She's also the creator of Cop City, which I guess in Biden's world, that's awesome because Biden is the architect of the crime bill. And so there is no shortage of pro-police and, pro-mandatory sentencing than a Biden-Lance Bottoms partnership.
Kindergartner in Atlanta's public school system. That's a record to be proud of. And then she came to the White House and served as a senior advisor. And I'll tell you, those same qualities that made her a great mayor made her invaluable to our administration. Smart, focused, gets things done. Georgia, she's ready. She's been ready. Keisha Lance Bottom for governor. Now, I'm proud to be in her corner, just like she was in mine. So let's get this thing done.
I gotta say, I don't like that they had this out there. I really hope that they... Ooh, a lot of neoliberals in the comments. I really hope they don't push the Biden endorsement. People don't like Biden, man. Even a lot of Democrats don't like Biden. I mean, come on. We all know this. Like, oh! Woo! Breaking news! Woo! Let's fucking go, baby. Let's fucking go. Josh McLaurin calls it. They called it. Josh McLaurin is declared the winner of the lieutenant governor primary runoff race. Let's freaking go, bro. I mean, look at that sweep. Granted, she did take a decent amount of counties, but yeah, that sweep. Crazy. He wins with 145,000 votes, with 96,000 votes to still count. At the rate that he's going, it was safe to call. The Republican race is still too close, although it seems that... I guess they won't call it yet because there's still way more votes waiting to be counted. But yeah, they project McLaurin is the winner of the Georgia Lieutenant Governor's race of 2026 primary. So, see you at the polls, buddy. The Georgia governor primary runoff is still too close to call. There's still 250,000 plus votes to count. The margin is getting closer, so it's not as much of a blowout as it was before. Jackson and Jones are getting a little closer to each other, so I'll keep an eye on that. Let's check out these campaign ads though from Lance Bottoms, because I want to show what she's been using as her like campaign messaging.
Republican primary for governor. Two grown men fighting to kiss the ass of an ass.
It's embarrassing. I'm Keisha Lance Bottoms, and unlike some people, I'm not running for governor to be Donald Trump. I'm running to stand up to him, to expand Medicaid, guarantee pre-K for all kids, and lower taxes for working families. This may be funny, but what you're going through is not. Let's do something about it.
I mean, funny ad. I thought it was somewhat humorous. But yeah, although I would have liked someone else to represent the Democrats, I'll still vote blue. I'd rather vote for what I believe and probably lose as opposed to vote for what I despise. Damn, bro. There's people going nuts in her comments. Then she did a ad with her mom.
My mama spent years chasing her dream to own a salon. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. Her mantra, can't, never could. I'm Keisha Lance Bottoms, and today...
I gotta say, this whole talking point in campaigns where it's like, oh, I worked 5 jobs, 48 hours a day, 9 days a week, busting my ass, paycheck to paycheck, just to make ends meet in my 200 square foot shed that I lived in. And I made the dream happen, baby. That's not good. Let's address the material conditions here. Your mother had to work 2 jobs to make ends meet and then eventually open her own hair salon. I don't know, man. Something tells me there's something wrong with the system if we're having to do all that shit. If to open a small business, you got to bust your ass and work 16-hour days at the minimum. Possibly, working every day of the week at that rate. If that's what you got to do to achieve the American dream, we're fucked. I've never enjoyed this line in neoliberal Democrat campaign ads. They always bust that shit out. You want to see like an honest way to portray that when AOC is talking about like, yeah, I was a bartender and now I represent an entire district in the House. That's a pretty inspiring story. Going from being a bartender to being a House representative for a major district in New York, that is the American dream. That's an actual good example of the American dream. That anybody could be an American representative in the House. Oh, you're a bartender? Look at AOC. She became a representative. So can you. That's a good example of the American dream. The whole, in the, however long ago it would have been, the 70s, I guess. 70s and 80s, my mom worked 2 jobs so she could open a small hair salon. That ain't good, bro. That shouldn't be a thing that she'd have to do. You know what I mean? 1 job should have been enough. Anyway, I digress.
Many Georgians are working just as hard and aren't getting ahead. As governor, I'll work to lower costs, expand access to health care, and make housing more affordable.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Finally. Campaign messages from a candidate. Thank you. Talk about your campaign promises, people. People will vote for you if you do that.
Because Mama was right.
Can't, never could.
And together, I know we can.
I mean, she's got some interesting little campaign ads. I'd be you know, I'd want to see a bit more from her campaign, because those ads are a little bit old now. Like, I saw those ads a few days ago. We need a little bit more. Just a little bit more. 71% of the votes in, 221,000 votes to go. Rick Jackson still leading Burt Jones in the primary. 294,000 votes, 53.4%. What are other news outlets projecting for this race? Like, I want to see what other news outlets have to say about this. Let's see what 11 Alive is saying. Let's see what PBS is saying. Why is CNN not covering this at all? Fucking Ellison News Network. Yeah, I just realized if Burt Jones loses, this is a Trump L. Yikes. What is CNN projecting? They're still not calling it like NBC is. Okay. They did project that Mike Collins won the primary, so that's good. They're still not calling it. I'm wondering what will happen here. All right, well, that race is going on in the background. Yeah, 11 Alive's not calling it either. They haven't even called the lieutenant governor primary runoff, but I've already made my decision. PBS hasn't called it yet either. Sorry, folks. Just my tie there. I'm gonna loosen this actually. Make myself look more disheveled as the stream goes on. House, we gotta cure this patient. That's what this button up reminds me of. It's just House's outfits. His jeans and his suit jacket. I hate these buttons, bro. I can never get them undone. Let me out. Damn. All right. There we go. Shirt disheveled. There we go. That's more appropriate for what's going on here. Also helps me breathe a little better. Let's talk about the race that we're now going to have in November with Ossoff and oh my god, he's going crazy. Look at him. He's going mad. All that writing on the screen again. Anyway, Jon Ossoff is going to be facing up against Mike Collins officially. And what do I think? I think while John Ossoff has a strong chance of winning, it will definitely be close. And I think Mike Collins has a really real chance of actually taking that race from him. However, there's been heavy projection that a blue wave will come this midterm due to the disaster that is the Trump administration. And so there is a very real possibility that John Ossoff will squeak out an easy win. Maybe not easy, but he'll squeak out a win. And I don't see why he wouldn't win re-election. He hasn't been horrible as a senator. He hasn't done anything like super notable, but he hasn't been like the worst senator ever. He's been introducing bills that are heavily focused on Georgia and all that. But I think people take issue with how heavily he voted with the Biden administration's agenda. Which, whatever. But I think with his stance on blocking aid to Israel, and if he starts to ignore Chuck Schumer, he's still a freshman senator technically. If he starts ignoring Chuck Schumer and doing shit like not reopening the government and doing shit like saying "fuck you, Chuck Schumer," I'm not going to do that shit. If he starts doing stuff like that and he starts voting against Israel and all that stuff, I think he'll do fine in Georgia. Mike Collins is a stooge for Israel. Famously, let me look this up. Mike Collins took initially $9 from AIPAC. Yeah. May 30th, 2025. Representative Mike Collins has finally caved to AIPAC. He accepted his first donation from the Israeli lobby group in March, a whopping $9.44. I mean, ain't this awesome? That's all it took to buy this man off. Now, to be fair, John Ossoff does receive Israeli lobby money in the form of J Street. He has received $804,000 from various Israel affiliated PACs and individual expenditures. And, DMFI, which is a subsidiary or at least like a affiliate of AIPAC, and J Street, who is like a liberal Zionist organization, they have both sent John Ossoff's campaign's money. And like Raphael Warnock's the same way. He's got J Street and DMFI money. DMFI is I talked about them a couple weeks ago. They're like a subsidiary of AIPAC or something like that. They are, let me look in my notes. Yeah, they're a AIPAC affiliate. And they were recently exposed for funneling money into another PAC called EDW Action Fund, that then sent that money to what's her name? What's her name? Why am I forgetting her name? It's the San Francisco, there she is, Connie Chan. They were funneling money into Connie Chan's campaign, which she lost, by the way. She lost. But yeah, they were funneling money into her campaign. So just keep that in mind anytime you see DMFI on someone's campaign finance reports, or EDW Action Fund or UDP or anything like that. That's AIPAC in a big furry costume. I don't know why I chose the word furry, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. I'm just sucking on ice at this point. John Ossoff has said, quote, Donald Trump's handpicked candidate Mike Collins is a notorious bigot, anti-Semite, and extremist currently under federal investigation for the illegal misuse of tax dollars, Ossoff said. He said, quote, Collins, who is only a congressman because his daddy was a congressman, ooh, voted to double health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians, voted for the Iran war, and voted for the Trump tariffs. Damn, who's only a congressman because his daddy was a congressman? Fuck, dude. Get his ass. Yes. Awesome. Oh, it looks like the decision desk is getting closer and closer to calling it for Jackson.
He's
talking about Oklahoma. The current vote tallies are 313,000 votes for Jackson versus 276,000 for Burt Jones. Burt is not gaining the votes that he needs to beat out Jackson. And the decision desk at NBC said Jones currently needs 59% of the remaining vote in Georgia to catch Jackson. While the race is still tightening, Jones is currently not getting what he would need in the remaining Election Day vote to pass Jackson. The moment they call it, I'm ending the stream. I'm just waiting for them to call it, damn it. That's all I'm waiting on. All right, let's go back to the video here. I'm going to go get some more water.
So this is another one where Trump won the Senate. His endorsement won the Senate primary, a Senate runoff in Georgia earlier. His candidate is in trouble in that Georgia gubernatorial primary. For everything we've been showing you right there. And his candidate in Oklahoma is trailing narrowly, but with more than half the vote counted there so far. That's an interesting set of results there. Let's take a look, too, before I forget. I keep meaning to check in. Look, the polls have been closed here for a while. We got nothing. We got nothing out of D.C.
I don't know if you also want to look at that congressional race.
We might as well show folks. Well, that's California. That's much later. And we got this is the first district seat in Oklahoma, Republican primary here. Keeping an eye on as well. But I want to go back to that governor's race in Georgia. 6 points now.
We just got some new results in Paulding. I think we're about complete in Paulding.
Okay, so that's a pretty big piece of the puzzle. So let's take a look here. Again, we showed you this earlier, but here's how it lands. 51% was Jones's 51% was Jones's two-way share in the preliminary. 47% is probably his lowest possible number. 44% is where he lands here. And again, there's a lot of votes here, right? Look at that. Almost 15,000 votes, a little bit less than 15,000 votes cast right there. So he's going to continue to tighten this, but we're not seeing anywhere of size where he's putting up the kind of number that could put him past Rick Jackson. So you got an interesting situation in Oklahoma, and you got an interesting situation in Georgia, gubernatorial races where Trump-endorsed candidates are in some degree of trouble right now. Now, keep in mind, you did have Donald Trump Jr. saying, either way, MAGA wins in this. And Jackson has tried to align himself, has publicly done nothing but align himself with Trump. And maybe it is I've thought about this as these primaries have kind of played out here, these Republican primaries. I've started to think there's a distinction in the type of Trump endorsement and its impact, where if Trump is endorsing against a candidate, right? Like, here's an incumbent who has been, disloyal to me, to my movement. I want this incumbent out of office. That seems to pack a giant punch, right? He was able to get Massey out in Kentucky. He was able to get a whole slate of Republican state senators out in Indiana. He was able to get Bill Cassidy out in a landslide in Louisiana, United States Senator. He was able to take out John Cornyn.
He's kind of missing the point, though. That's not why Trump was able to get them out. Trump didn't have all that much to do with that. And more so, it was corporate interest groups like AIPAC that had more to do with getting those candidates out. It had less to do with Trump. Trump has actually been, so far, historically a poison. So far, he's been historically a poison to the Republican elections. And yeah, it's not looking good for any Trump-backed candidate. Like, it's very rare for a Trump-backed candidate to win solely based on the Trump endorsement.
There it is. It's killing time, and it came up. NBC News is projecting that Rick Jackson has won the Republican gubernatorial primary in Georgia. He will advance to the general election where he'll face the Democrat, former mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms. She won the primary without a runoff last month. That will be a closely watched gubernatorial contest this November. In a statement, he will see it as a prelude to 2028, when Georgia will be one of the centerpiece battleground states we expect in the presidential election. Again, Rick Jackson, self-funding candidate, businessman, got in this campaign relatively late, running against the Lieutenant Governor, Burt Jones, who had aligned himself very closely with Donald Trump. Jones had done that particularly in the immediate wake of the 2020 presidential election, when Trump made claims about Georgia's election being, in his view, he claimed, illegitimate. Republican leaders in Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, stood up to Trump then. Jones took Trump's side back then. Trump rewarded that with an endorsement of Jones. But in the end, Jackson was very competitive here. And as I said, on the eve of the election, Donald Trump Jr. put out a statement where he said this is not an endorsement of Jackson, but it sure read like one. Or it certainly read like they had made peace with Jackson winning this primary, and they seemed quite fine with it. Jackson had aligned himself, tried very hard to align himself with Trump and not make his candidacy seem like an affront to Trump. And clearly, it seems, has succeeded with that. So Rick Jackson
also just
wins
look at what a
this
goofball
primary.
Burt Jones looks like. Wow, folks. Well, let's recap. Also, let's look at the. Thank you, Kornacki, for your generous, contributions here. 321,000 votes, almost 322,000, 53% of the vote. Rick Jackson wins the primary. Burt Jones got 285 K with 47% of the vote. 80% of the vote's been counted. At this rate, he's not going to have enough to win, so it's going to be Jackson. But let's look at this county layout. I mean, he still held on to some of those coastal areas, definitely lost some to Jones, but he held on to this entire upper part of Georgia area, with the exception of the northwest part of the state, corner of the state, really. But he held on to most of Metro Atlanta, at least, and held on to a lot of the mountain region, a lot of the Appalachia region, held on to the entire west side of Georgia, the western part of Georgia, only losing out in some of those like bottom left, like Decatur County and Seminole County, losing out on some of those bottom southwest counties, the southern counties. But he held on pretty strong. That's crazy. That's crazy that an establishment Republican candidate like Burt Jones, the lieutenant governor, has the lieutenant governor's advantage and had the full endorsement of the president and the governor of the state, bombed it against Rick Jackson, a outsider healthcare executive. Well, the final races that will now occur in November is John Ossoff versus Mike Collins for the Senate race, Keisha Lance Bottoms versus Rick Jackson for the gubernatorial race, and Josh McLaurin versus, I would presume, Greg Dolezal, although I don't know if that race has been called yet. Let's take a look. Take a little peek at that race. I mean, it's probably going to be Greg Dolezal. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and call it. I'm going to say it's Greg Dolezal. So yeah, that's the race. It'll be Bottoms and McLaurin versus Jackson and Dolezal, more than likely, for the gubernatorial and lieutenant governor races. I believe you vote for them as a pair, if I'm not mistaken, in Georgia. I believe it's North Carolina where you vote for them separate. But yeah, the Senate race is going to be the one I keep my eye on the most, just because they control the foreign policy. I'm big on the anti-Israel stuff, and I pay close attention to that stuff. I don't have a whole lot of fighters in this race. I generally try to follow the DSA voter card, and they don't really fuck with any of the people on this list. But you know what? Yeah, it's not that they don't fuck with them. It's just they don't like fully endorse them. They only endorse candidates that declare themselves as socialists. So that's kind of why. But yeah, we'll make more. I'll make more episodes about the elections as the year goes on. I'll probably make follow-ups about the Secretary of State and Attorney General races, because those are important positions. The Secretary of State, I believe, still controls the voter rolls to some extent. And, you know, they have some pretty important responsibilities, but the Attorney General is a big one. They're responsible for appointing special prosecutors, appointing sheriffs that investigate other sheriffs. That's a big one. Chris Carr was investigating a sheriff somewhere else in Georgia and decided to choose the Coweta County Sheriff, Lynn Wood, to investigate that sheriff. And so that's kind of like his job, is he allocates sheriffs to investigate each other, special prosecutors, oversees cases, stuff like that. He charges people with crimes. You get the point. It's an attorney general. It's like the Attorney General Todd Blanche in the federal government. His job is to prosecute people on a federal level. Chris Carr is supposed to prosecute people on a state level. So I'll talk about those races because they can be pretty important as well. I'm still going to make the one about ballot initiatives once they're a bit more finalized on the polls, or at the polls when you go to vote. Because there was only one when I was initially researching them, and it was just about like judges and stuff. Should we do nonpartisan elections for like one type of judge? I'll make follow-ups with that. If there's more, like if there's a debate, I might cover that. And yeah, so look forward to those. Thanks for tuning in, folks. It's been a fun little stream. This is the first Forbidden FM we've done since the 2024 general election. That's just because I didn't have the internet that could sustain a stream like this. So now that I do, I have that 1 gig fiber internet, folks. That good shit, that top shelf, delicious shit. That's a gross way to phrase that. That top shelf liquor, that 1 gig AT&T fiber, pretty nice. I get some crazy ass internet speeds on here, and I'm on Wi-Fi. I have a Wi-Fi card, to be fair, and it's Wi-Fi 6E and the router is Wi-Fi 6, but like crazy ass Wi-Fi speeds that I haven't seen before that I don't need like Ethernet for. So look out for those future episodes. Look out for a future Forbidden FM. Maybe I'll don the suit again in November. It is kind of my election shtick that I wear a suit and tie, or I wear a tie at least whenever I'm covering elections. So yeah. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/forbiddenlandpod. You know, we do some bonus content every now and then, not super often, but if you just want to support, that's fine by me. We have audio only versions of this podcast. The audio version of this episode will come out later, because we did Forbidden FM a little different than how we usually do it. So this episode will probably come out on mobile, or not on mobile, on audio only platforms tomorrow, more than likely. So look out for that. It might come out honestly at like midnight. Who fucking knows? But look out for that. You can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, your Samsung smart fridge, and check out the Forbidden Land podcast, the main episodes. There'll be a new one on Friday. Got some big news. I already gave you all a preview with the reflecting pool. So yeah, check that out. Look forward to that. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. And I will see y'all in the next episode. Peace. Bye.